let's talk about the greatest quizmaster ever that lived at 72 Whooping Cough Lane.
Kenny wasn't like the other kids.
Remote control.
TV mattered, nothing else did.
Remote control.
Girl said yes, but he said
No.
Remote control.
Now he's got his own game show.
Remote control.
Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a new video. First, before we get started, I usually tell you to go to my website to buy a t-shirt, thatjunkman.com. Well, now when you go to thatjunkman.com, it just redirects you to this page. Didn't really see a need for a website, but you can go, you can find the link to buy t-shirts at my YouTube channel on the About page. So, or right there in the top corner somewhere on the main page. So I just wanted to pass that on because we got a lot of new shirts like this one right here. This one right there. We even have this one right here. A lot of new shirts over at junkman.com. So, I guess I can't say that anymore. But, you know, links in the description below if you want to go straight to the website for the shirts. Anyway, this is kind of more of a laid-back rambling video. I don't really have a lot of research or new information to give you. I just kind of want to talk about one of the best game shows ever. Now, growing up in the 80s, I watched a lot of game shows. I'm sure many of you did. I mean, Let's Make a Deal, Price is Right, you know, the good Price is Right with Bob Barker. Card Sharks, one of my all-time favorite shows, Card Sharks. Then you have some that came on at night, the Newlywed Game, of course, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. See, during the day you had, what was it, Password Plus. Or the Pyramid one, remember the Pyramid? Oh, Tic-Tac-Toe. I like that one. It was like Tic-Tac-Toe with the dragon and everything. How about in the 70s, Make Me Laugh? Now, I didn't know about that one until, I think, Comedy Central, someone used to show that. I love that one. Had the Unknown Comic on it. Really loved him. I think it was even Gallagher was on it one time. But anyway, most of the game shows would come on CBS, NBC, one of the major networks in the afternoon, sometime before the soap operas, so between maybe 9, 11, 12 o'clock. And they were kind of your grandparents' show or your parents' TV show. Wasn't really aimed for kids. I mean, you had some that was aimed for kids, and kids enjoyed them, but not teenagers. But MTV finally hipped up the game show with one called Remote Control. Now, I never was a huge MTV fan. I wasn't into rock videos that much. I liked a few of them. I can still remember being in front of the TV when they showed the world premiere video of Don Henley's All She Wants to Do Is Dance. All she wants to do is dance and make romance. And I remember when they did a world premiere of David Lee Roth's California Girls. What a pretty looking video. But I wasn't really into that type of music. I would watch some of it. I knew here and there. But for the most part, I didn't really watch MTV a lot. And then I had a reason to watch it. Remote Control. Like I said, they hipped up the game show format. This was a game show about, they act like it was set in the basement of the host's house or his parents' house. His name was Ken Obert. Rest in peace, Ken. What a great guy. Gone way too soon. But it's supposed to be inside his house. I think in the background you can see a washing and dryer and stuff. And for some reason a big old Pez of Bob Eubanks. As I can say, this show really hipped up the game audience. This was aimed for teenagers or college students. And the best part of all, it was a lot of pop culture trivia. And I think this was the first time, at least I can remember, that there was questions asked to contestants that was part of my generation. Although I was still in my early teens or mid-teens by the time this came out, starting to hit early 20s by the time it was off the air. It was stuff that I grew up with. Questions about the Brady Bunch, Partridge Family, even black and white shows that was before my time, like maybe Bewitched. Was that black and white? Maybe first couple of seasons. I remember they had questions about the Donna Reed show, Andy Griffin, Dick Van Dyke show. And, you know, even if those shows were before my time, a lot of us grew up watching Nick at Night or TV Land, I guess it's called now. or just old TV shows where they were just running them out through the day. I mean, I know kids now don't even know what some of the best 90s shows are. I was like, you know News Radio? They don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know Third Rock from the Sun? They don't know. I mean, if it ain't Friends, they don't want to hear about it. But there's some other good shows on television in the 90s. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. The Ken Ober hosted Remote Control, and there was a lot of talent on this show. One of his co-hosts was Colin Quinn, who's going on to do stand-up. A lot of you probably know Colin Quinn. I think he did a couple of years on Saturday Night Live. He hosted the news after they fired Norm Macdonald. How do you fire Norm Macdonald, the best person to do the fake news on Saturday Night Live? But Colin Quinn also wrote for the show, and also wrote on the show, and actually was on there sometime was Dennis Leary, another stand-up comedian I'm sure you all know. And even Adam Sandler got his start on this show. This was before he was on Saturday Night Live. This is before Billy Madison. I guess it was before Overboard. This is before, or maybe it was a little after Adam Sandler was on The Cosby Show. Whew, I hope he didn't drink any drinks that Bill Cosby left him, but anyway, so they had a lot of talent. Now, I know they had a female host now, and I can't remember her name, but it seemed like every other season they would replace her. But it was always a gorgeous-looking woman, at least to a 17-year-old boy watching this show. Like I said, I don't really have a sit here to tell you a review of the show and everything. It's one of those shows I hope people don't forget about. It was never released, I don't think, on video, on VHS, DVD, or anything like that. I haven't seen reruns of it. Now, they did syndicate the show sometime around 1989. Changed it up a little bit, and that's by the time I quit watching it. Although I was pretty good at this show when they did the trivia questions, some of them anyway. When it got to the end, it showed the videos. You had to, I think, if I remember right, I sit in a chair, and they would show flashes of music videos, and you had to guess what each one was, like 10 of them. I could never get it. I could get maybe 3 or 4 of them, but some of them could get all 10. I never could. I think when they syndicated that, you know, it probably cost more money for them to pay for the rights. MTV probably already had the rights to use these clips. So they changed it. I don't remember why. I remember it's like somebody spinning around. I didn't really watch the syndicated years. In fact, the show ran from 1987 to 1990. And I think by 88, 89, I was already out of it. By 90, I would have thought it was already off the air. And you had celebrities stop by also. I remember one time, Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver was on the show. I remember one other time, Weird Al was on the show. It was a great place for Weird Al. It was a very funny episode. And some other celebrities would come on here and there. They would break the show down into 3 rounds, where they have a big TV set with numbers, like channels around the edge, and you would switch it. The Brady Bunch channel. The home TV, I think it was a home shopping channel where they give you trivia questions and stuff. Brady Physics, I think it was like math questions related to the Brady Bunch. That was hard. Am I shaking the camera there? And I remember at the end of round 2, one of the contestants would leave, and each contestant sat in a lazy boy, a lounge chair, and they would sometimes I remember popcorn would fall on their head too. Maybe that was at the end of round 1. They would put a bowl of popcorn, it would all fall down for some reason. But then at the end of round 2, when one of them with the lowest score was off the show, the lazy boy, the chair, would shoot back out through the wall. And everybody in the audience would, of course, sing, what was that sing? Goodbye. What? Now I can't believe. Now I'm going to find the clip now. I just remember, goodbye. Then you go into round 3, which is 2 contestants. Then the lowest score through the wall, and they said, da-da-da, goodbye again. And then they would go to the bonus round, like I said, where they had to guess the videos. And there was a little, and sometimes they do little wacky skits in between, or like I say, Adam Sandler would come out and play some kind of wacky character.
Oh, you know, I was driving down the avenue the other day, having a good time, and then I'm cranking some music, and some guy screams out, "You be 40." Right? So I get out of the car, I start kicking him in the head, and I go, "I be 20, pal," you know? So.
But like I said earlier, they really hipped up the game show. This wasn't a game show that your parents watched, or a game show that your grandma watched when you stayed with her during spring break. This was hip and cool. This was MTV, back when MTV was cool. Remember that? I can remember around the same time period, like 11 o'clock at night, for some reason, some odd reason, they would just show reruns of Speed Racer, a show I grew up on, but then forgot all through the 80s, never hardly saw it, and all of a sudden it was on MTV. I was like, why are you showing Speed Racer? That's not a music video. But I didn't care. I got to see Speed Racer. And I'm talking about the cartoon, not that horrible live-action movie of Speed Racer. That was nothing at all like the TV show. Don't even know why they made that. Don't even get me started on that movie. But this was the hippest era of MTV, back when they would play music videos, throw on some stuff like remote control, or I think right about this same time they started doing, what was it, liquid television, where they would show, I think that's where Beavis and Butthead started, and a lot of other great little cartoon segments and stuff at night. And now, and then, I don't know, somewhere in the 90s, MTV went off the rails with reality shows, and I don't even know. I know it's still around today, but I don't hear anyone talk about it. I don't hear nothing about it, and I'm glad. I never got into the real world. I never got into... They also did a Nintendo game. That's right, Nintendo released a remote control game. I loved playing this as a kid or teenager, but going back now playing it, if you watch my live stream where I play some Nintendo games, you may remember I tried to play this, and it's a little slow paced, or at least by yourself. It's probably more fun if you get 2 or 3 people playing with you. The graphics ain't great, but then again, it's Nintendo in the late 80s, so what do you expect? Now, you can find this show on MTV, but most of it was like stuff people recorded off their TV back in the day. But I'm glad it's still out there somewhere. I'm glad MTV hadn't blocked it so people couldn't find it. Like, there's another game show, I think, in the early 2000s called Beat the Geeks that was on Comedy Central, where you had these geeks and they would go up against normal people. And let's say one geek knew all about Star Wars. You would try to stump him or see if you could answer more questions than the geek. And I can't even find clips of that show. Does anybody remember Beat the Geeks? I think it Beat the Geek. Anybody remember Beat the Geek? I can't even find clips of that show. Again, remote control. I love this show. Ken Orbert was a great host. And it's fun to go back on YouTube and watch some of these old shows of remote control. Like I said, it's the first time I really felt a show was made at me, or at least a teenage me. Now, of course, I grew up on You Can't Do That on Television, and some of that Nickelodeon shows where it seemed like it was aimed for me. But this was more than just, it wasn't just aimed for me. It was aimed more for my generation, my culture, that pop culture generation that was kind of unique, at least for that time. People that grew up in the 70s and the 80s, it was kind of a unique time. I don't think, kids that grew up in the 50s and the 60s really connected with the pop culture the way we did in the 70s, and of course mostly the 80s, which still lives today. And you see people, of course, growing up today really connect with pop culture. They even connect with the old 80s pop culture that we grew up on. But this was the first one that seemed like it was geared for that. It wasn't like it was just geared for the geeks or the nerds or just the jocks. It was geared for everybody around that maybe 13, 14 to early 20s age. Like I said, high school to college years.
On Head of the Class, what was the name of the school play staged by Mr. Moore's Little Class of Dweebs? Joey. Grease? Sorry, no, but nice guess.
It was just a lot of fun. And like I said, it really could relate to it. But I wasn't sure how many of you guys out there remembered Remote Control, watched it, or maybe you never heard of it. And if you never heard of it, go on YouTube and check it out. Like I said, it's a really good show. It would be really nice if they brought this back out on DVD or streamed it on some MTV stream service or some kind of streaming service so we can get some good quality of it, not just look like somebody recorded it off the television. But let me know in the comments below, did you watch Remote Control? Did you like it? Or maybe you were about the same age, you just hated it. Or maybe that show Whammy was more your type of game show. Remember that one? Whammy! Remember that? Whammy! Remember that guy that won it for like 10 hours straight and they couldn't get him off the show? Whammy! I won't hit the table so hard. Whammy! Was it? Oh, no, they didn't even say whammy. I ruined the whole joke. It was, stop! They would always cheer, stop! Stop! And then there's another show where it showed a piece of a puzzle. And even when they took all the pieces down, it was like a cartoon of, it'd be like a man bent over and somebody shooting an arrow in his butt or something. And you had to, like, figure out what it meant, the picture meant. And I could never even figure it out. Once they removed all the panels and showed me the picture, I still couldn't figure it out. Even when the contestants would give you the answer, I'd still be like, I don't know. I don't even remember what that one was called. But Remote Control. Let me know in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe to this channel. Thumb up so I know you like my content. And I'll be back again very soon.
Losing contestants take home from the Goomy Guys. Goomy friendship bracelets featuring their brand new super colorful Ova-Ovas and fashionable woven leather bracelets. Goomies, get 'em.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.